The movie begins with an upbeat musical where the main protagonists, Henry and Anne, with their friends, go through fast growth progressions in their careers as performers. Henry is a provocative stand-up comedian, and Anne is a world-famous soprano. The duo goes through a swift courtship, singing a special number, "We Love Each Other So Much." The initial phases of their romance involve heartwarming moments such as strolling through exquisite gardens and riding motorcycles into the night. Of course, it also involves a myriad of intimate moments. Shortly afterward, Henry and Anne, both at the pinnacle of their careers, tie the knot. The scene immediately shifts to Anne's accompanist, who is not pleased by this development, as he has always been infatuated with Anne. He believes she's the one with the genius and grace, while he's the one with the technical expertise. In other words, he believes they belong together and is extremely jealous of Henry. The couple are unaware of the accompanist's jealousy and go about their lives in bliss. Soon, they conceive and birth a child. A beautiful bouncing daughter named Annette is initially portrayed to the viewers by a wooden marionette puppet. The family's new addition initially doubles their happiness, but this doesn't last as Henry's career takes a hit. The marriage becomes rocky when Henry begins to take care of Annette, while Anne's career flourishes and takes her overseas. Covetous of his wife's success and embittered by his condition, Henry begins heavily drinking, and it takes a toll on the couple's romance. To make matters worse, Anne starts having nightmares about 6 women who come forward with allegations of past at the hands of Henry. All 6 women have similar stories of being subjected to his abuses, of being witnesses to his anger and violence. In the dreams, they warn her that Henry may seem harmless, but he is definitely not that. Furthermore, Anne also has nightmares about Henry almost smothering her. Anne puts a lot of weight on her dreams, and this puts more strain on the married couple. Henry's career takes an even deeper plunge after an outrageous incident on stage. His fan base turns to a horde of attackers, and this inevitably affects his income stream. That evening, while Anne is spending quality time with their daughter, Annette, Henry storms in, fueled with rage and shame about his onstage debacle. He yells and bangs on walls and doors, terrifying Anne and their daughter. In the next scene, it is shown that Henry and Anne are trying to work through their marital issues. They do this by scheduling a private cruise on a yacht. Media sources speculate on this and wonder if it will be enough to solve their marital problems. Pundits make sure to point out that the divide between their career successes was a major cause of their spousal rift, and the rift marked by Anne's continued success was not slowing down anytime soon. Despite the naysayers, our celebrity couple gave their reconciliation a go. The family, including baby Annette, is on board. After some time, Anne is shown singing sweetly to her daughter. She tells her baby to not be afraid of the brewing storm. The lullaby lulls the baby to sleep, and then Anne steps out into the storm on deck to find her husband. Anne finds an intoxicated Henry. When she cautions him for being drunk and tries to get him inside, he states that he's not that drunk and forces her to waltz with him. She protests that they might drown, but Henry doesn't listen. He keeps moving her around. As he moves Anne around, she tells him that he is not the man she used to know. She warns him to stop fooling around. All of Anne's tactics fall on deaf ears, and within minutes, she falls overboard. Her voice is heard begging Henry to help her up as she's almost out of air. Henry falls into his backside and presses his hands on his head, crying that there's little he can do. After realizing that his wife has slept, Henry tearfully escapes to an island with Annette using a lifeboat. When father and child finally fall asleep from exhaustion, Anne's ghost suddenly appears. She has exaggeratedly long nails and hair. She gives her voice to infant Annette as a form of revenge, so she can haunt Henry for the rest of his life. What was once passionate love has turned downright bitter. In the following scene, Henry is investigated by the police. After being placed through the heat of the investigation, he was cleared of legal suspicion for Anne's passing. Time flies by, and Henry soon finds himself at a financial end without Anne's income. One night, upon returning home and taking over from the babysitter, Henry gives Annette a nightlight as a gift. It is there that he discovers that his daughter can sing, just like her mother. He quickly contacts Anne's former accompanist in order to discuss ways of using Annette's singing voice for a musical act. Before the discussion takes place, it is revealed that the accompanist is still mourning Anne's loss. He is still in love with her. He suspects that Henry willfully forced Anne to sleep. He also suspects that Annette is his daughter because his affair with Anne ended only when she met Henry. Given the span of time between Henry and Anne's courtship and the birth of Annette, one could argue that Annette is the accompanist's daughter. Although the accompanist doesn't feel good about seeing Henry, he meets up with him anyway, because anything that concerns Anne and the future of Annette concerns him. During the discussion, the accompanist states that he will not take part in Annette's exploitation. But Henry argues that it is not exploitation if it is for the betterment of Annette's future. The accompanist reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Henry is feeling guilty about Anne's passing and wonders if he did indeed off her. He has nightmares upon nightmares and turns to drink to salve his hurt. The intoxication doesn't solve his problems as Anne haunts him still, every night and without break. Soon, as per Henry and the accompanist's agreement, they tour the world, and Baby Annette becomes a worldwide hit. Annette becomes loved by all and sundry from China to Korea, from Russia to Africa. One evening, Henry asks the accompanist to help him watch over Annette while he goes out to let off a little bit of steam. The accompanist agrees, and that time teaches Annette the love song that we hear at the start of the movie, "We Love Each Other So Much," which is Anne and Henry's love song. Meanwhile, Henry is trying to live it up in clubs amongst beautiful women. He tries to have fun, but his low self-esteem gets in the way of his enjoyment. Henry further engages in heavy drinking, but is still haunted by memories of Anne. When he returns, he thanks the accompanist for the kind gesture of watching his daughter. Soon he overhears Annette singing a rendition of "We Love Each Other So Much." He angrily confronts the accompanist and tells him he has no right to teach his daughter the song. Henry feels possessive about the song. The accompanist then tells Henry that he wrote "We Love Each Other So Much" for Anne, and that he has every right to teach it to his star pupil, which is Annette. Henry scoffs at this and accuses the accompanist of coveting his daughter. He mocks the accompanist until the accompanist breaks and implies that he is Annette's real father. He shares the timeline of his dating history with Anne. Henry, in disbelief, starts plotting and decides that no whiff of this suspicion should ever go out in public. He believes that if the information ever goes public, he will lose his child. The men take a time out and decide to put Annette to bed together. Henry says his bit, but Annette seems scared of him. She inches away when he tries to kiss her forehead. When it is the accompanist's turn, Henry interrupts him and doesn't let him finish. The men go out of the house and stay beside the backyard pool to iron out their issues. Henry starts acting strange. He invades the accompanist's personal space and pushes him around. The accompanist is not pleased about this and voices his protest, but Henry proves intent on giving form to his malicious thoughts. Henry drowns the accompanist in the backyard pool. His mannerisms and actions at this moment mirror the mannerisms and actions that led to Anne's passing. So it is suggested that, contrary to what we may have believed earlier, he willfully offed Anne. When Henry disposes of the corpse and heads back into the house, he discovers that Annette is awake and that she witnessed the event from her bedroom window. Henry tries to console a scared and angry Annette that everything will be all right, but Annette throws down the nightlight he bought her in response. The nightlight breaks into pieces, and Henry's reaction to this is hard to read. In the following scene, Henry decides to end Annette's musical career. But before pulling the curtains, it is announced that Annette will do one last performance. Annette is glammed up and is set to perform at the Hyperbole halftime show, but she refuses to sing. At first, the commentators think it is because of nervousness, as she is facing the biggest crowd of her life. Under this impression, they try to ease the baby's apprehension. Suddenly, Annette strikes a pose similar to what Anne did with Henry at the start of the movie, and then she declares that her father murdered people in the packed stadium. Henry's deeds are discovered, and he is arrested. The scene shifts to a throng of protesters hitting the law enforcement vehicle transporting him to court. They call Henry all sorts of terrible names under the sun. In court, he acts in a hostile manner towards the judge and the court clerk. His hostility is borderline on stupidity because when asked to affirm that he will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, he declines and states that they will end him if he does. While he is addressing the court, Anne's spirit appears to him and promises to haunt him day after day, and night after night. Henry's trial is then concluded and he is convicted. A few years later, Annette visits her father in prison. Henry looks older and has a distinctive purple mark on his face. Annette, in puppet form, is visibly nervous about her father. When he tells her that she has changed so much, Annette, suddenly portrayed by a living human girl, agrees with him. The human Annette walks towards where the puppet is seated. Henry wipes his eyes, and then the puppet is gone. Human Annette sits in its place. This is symbolic of the fact that Annette is now her own person and is no longer an object of manipulation. She tells her father that he too has changed. Annette then asks if he's at least safe if he can't smoke or drink in prison. He tells her that he can't smoke or drink, and so he is safe. She then jokes that he can't off someone in prison. Henry is not offended by this. He comments that she is after all his daughter and has a wicked sense of humor. And then he jokes back, saying that the only thing he can off is time. Annette says that for the harm done to her, she will never sing again, that she'll smash every lamp or nightlight she sees. She says that she will become a vampire forever and will embrace living in full darkness. He tries to dissuade Annette, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. She declares that his choice to use her for his own ends is unforgivable. She does not take kindly to Henry's attempts at reconciliation. She refuses his apologies and even blames her mother for using her to get revenge. Annette says she cannot forgive or forget the pain caused by her parents, and that she wishes both of them were gone. Upon his further attempts, she concludes by saying that now he has nothing to love. Time runs out, and as a guard comes to take Annette away, Henry hugs his daughter tight for one last time. He is heartbroken as she leaves. He presses his face to a wall and tells an unseen person to stop looking at him. The camera then shifts to the Annette puppet lying lifeless on the floor. With this, the story of a passionate, yet ultimately doomed relationship between two famous performers comes to an end.